time has come to rebuild my strawberry planters. I built these 12 years ago and they've done me very well. A builder down the road from me had some pallets, but not your normal fall apart pallets. These were good ones, decent tropical hardwood. He let me have the wood, and I put these together and I found that they've been very successful. Strawberries in planters are good from my point of view for two reasons. Firstly, if the fruit hangs down, it doesn't really touch the ground, so you've got a head start on fruit rotting when it contacts the soil, because it can do. It's also very difficult for the birds to get at when it's sort of in mid-air, as it were. They can sort of jump up, but it gives you a real head start. It makes them easy to net as well, because you can just wind the net around it. I also find that the strawberries seem to flourish when they're in well-drained soil, and either a top of a wall or a raised planter like this seems to be a perfect environment for them, drainage-wise. So it's time to make some new ones. We'll have a look at that in a moment. Before we head into the workshop, I just want to have a look at these planters here, because I built these about 5 years ago. The idea was to replace the older planters that we've just looked at, and I built them of treated timber, which is available from any garden centre, any builder's merchant. It's the standard thing that you're supposed to use when you're constructing outside, because it resists fungal rot. It's the way to have a longer lived container. Now, I'm not going to use treated timber again for any of my garden projects, which is a shame, because I've built a lot of things with it over the years. The reason is perhaps evident in front of you here. These strawberries are not as healthy as the ones in the planters that were just built of old pallets. I've actually replanted these. This is the third planting. Each year they've died on me. These ones, they're just not in good heart. The root systems don't seem to be developing like they should. I think these might be on their way out as well. I've had more problems with stuff growing either in or near treated wood containers than I can just put down to coincidence. I've had raised beds that plants don't seem to grow as well as neighbouring ones not in wooden sided treated beds. I've got another planter over here which was built at the same time as that one, and this was a herb planter. Things in here are quite tough, but again, it just doesn't seem to be growing like it should do. So I'm going to stop using treated timber, and I've had a bit of a hunt around for a substitute, and I believe I found something that will do just as well. So I had a look around on the internet, Facebook Marketplace actually, and I found just down the road from me a local reclamation salvage yard that was cutting up old architectural timber. And from them I bought these two pieces of oak. It's lovely stuff. It's salvaged timber, so I mean it could be quite old. These are big beams that they've cut down and made into planks. What I'm going to do with this oak is I'll slit these up the middle. So they're 30 centimetre planks. I'll have quite a collection of 15 centimetre planks, which I worked out will be sufficient to make planters the same size as previous ones. This will last a very long time. Oak is pretty indestructible in or out of doors. There's no danger of contamination from any wood treatment, because there isn't any. I might give them a coat with linseed oil, but that's probably all the treatment they'll need. And I'm going to enjoy putting these together. Watch this space. Okay, time to cut. Looking at the edges of these planks, they're a bit wavy, so I'm not going to use the rip fence for these. I've marked roughly down the centre of this one, and I'll just do it by eye. It's a piece of garden furniture, so it doesn't have to be that precise. Just realised I'm setting a terrible example. Of course, I always wear these. Right. There we go. Okay, so here's the first of my planks. I'm now going to square off the end and cut it into sections to make the two long sides, the two short sides of what is basically a box. So. Never trust a cut end unless you've done it yourself. So. 142. I'm about to make a lot of workshop guys jealous. Sorry, guys and girls. If it's worth building, it's worth building it on wheels, is what I thought. There we go. Now I've got room to cut my wood. You can cut oak by hand, but it can be quite hard going. Right. So that's half a planter. Do the same with plank number 2. Okay. So that now is all the pieces I need for the planter. So there's the 2 long sides, 2 short sides, bunch of slats for underneath and 4 legs. Now for some fastenings. Obviously it's going outdoors, so we need some fairly weatherproof fastenings. It so happens I've got left over from a building job some stainless steel 65mm screws. They're quite good, last a lifetime. Another option, if I didn't have those, and they are a bit specialist, these decking screws I've used, I think these are 75mm, that'll do quite well. I've used these before for a lot of outdoor projects. They do last a long time. Certainly don't use ordinary zinc plated or galvanised screws. They do fall apart within a few years. So either stainless steel or decking screws will do fine for a project like this. I'm going to start by using the stainless steel screws because they are the best of all. This is very solid oak, so I don't know quite how they'll grip in there yet, so there might have to be a bit of experimentation. Watch this space. I'm going to drill and countersink holes at the corners and just butt these together. Yeah, that's worked quite well. So I'll repeat with the other corners and then pop the slats across the base and the legs on. Okay, so that's the box assembled. I'm just fitting up the legs now by bolting them into the corners using the same screws. They protrude a little bit in one direction through the wood. I'd use a smaller size if I had any, but I haven't. But I'll just get in with the angle grinder and nip the ends off where they're protruding, so it won't be too much of a problem. possible on the long side. Really helps rigidify the corner as well. Yeah. I had a bit of a problem with the wood splitting when I was doing some of the end joints, so I'm doing a full pilot on these. On the sides where I'm going into the grain where it might split, you'll see in a sec. Can be quite a brittle timber oak. So the pilot just goes full depth of the screw. Just guides it into the timber. There we go, nice and solid. So here's the box assembled, upside down. I've just fitted 2 bits of wood at either end to start to form the base, and I've just been measuring up for the remaining pieces. I'll pop these all on the base. The gap's a little bit on the wide side. I've been a bit mean with the wood, perhaps, but there'll be a liner fitted inside because I want the wood to remain out of contact with the compost or soil that's inside it. Preserve things a bit more. So that'll support things anyway. It'll work out. So that's the planter all assembled. I'll just turn it over. Going to do now a little finishing touch. These cut ends of the legs, whenever you've got a cut piece of wood like that across the grain and it's horizontal to any rain that's going to be falling on it, you don't want water pooling on it because it will work its way into the grain and eventually rot it out. So what I'm going to do is what you always do with fence posts, just slope the top a little bit of these cut ends so that water will run off. I've also got a few protruding screws just on these legs where they're sticking through, so again I'll take the metal end off. I'm now going to paint the planters with linseed oil. It just gives it a nice colour. It's also a bit of a preservative as well, a traditional preservative. Tend to avoid, as you probably noticed, too many chemicals on my food. This stuff's alright. Okay, and the final step after the oiling is to just fit a liner. What I like to do is keep the wood of the planter as separate as possible from the soil or the compost that's inside it. It just preserves the life of it a little bit more. You can line with anything. I've used old fertiliser bags or anything like that. In this particular case, I've got a damp-proof course that was left over from an old building. This would be perfect. So I just cut it to shape and put it all around the inside and on the base of the thing. Fixed with stainless steel staples. Just fit it so it's nice and flush with the top. So here's the finished planter, looking very nice in its coat of linseed oil, all ready for planting out. I've got to get some strawberry plants yet, so not quite ready to go, but that will happen soon. I've punched some holes in the base. It's the final job I did, just to allow a bit of drainage there. So, now, for those interested in dimensions, we are 120 centimetres long, just under 4 foot, 35 centimetres wide, 14 inches, and a depth 12 centimetre or 5 inches.